So this month, my company will do a little over $64,000 in top line revenue with a small 6-person remote team. In this video, I'll walk you through how I built the team, who I hired first and why, and lastly, how I've trained my team to run the business completely without me. So with that said, let's dive straight in. Okay, we're in my computer now. So let's start with how I built the team, right? So this is what the team looks like. There's me at the top, and I basically own the product, which is the UK Job Institute. And basically I have 3 main departments. I have marketing, sales, and operations. And basically what I've done is I have one leader for each function, right? So I have one leader for marketing, I have one leader for sales, and one leader for operations, right? Let's talk about each of them one by one. So the marketing lead, they're the person in charge of getting the leads through organic content on LinkedIn and Instagram, right? The sales lead is then the person who makes sure we sell enough to maintain and grow our monthly recurring revenue. And then the operations lead is basically the person who keeps operations smooth and makes sure customers get their deliverables and the stuff they signed up for on time. And then also, if you see here as well, I have a product manager, right? And they sit within operations, and basically their whole job is to manage the technology. So we offer 2 softwares to customers, manage it and solve any bugs or any issues that arise. So that's pretty much the team, really lean team that generates $64K a month. So let's talk about who I hired first now and why, right? So the first people I actually hired were actually 3 people. And these were the marketing lead, the sales lead, and the operations lead, right? And all 3 of these guys actually worked with me in my previous business, right? Where actually last year I sold one-on-one coaching, and we scaled to multiple 100K months, but delivery was a complete disaster. And I honestly wasn't happy with how everything was so chaotic and just not systemized. So I knew there had to be a better model, right? So when I launched this business, my marketing lead was actually my best friend, right? And he joined to run my Instagram with no Instagram experience, right? And he created viral reels that actually drove signups for a webinar that I launched, right? So I launched this product, the UK Job Institute here, through a 3-day webinar.
We're recording this just to show the demand is insane. 10 seconds left. Then 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cool. So your special gifts.
And that webinar alone grew us from $0 to $9,000 in monthly recurring revenue in 3 days. So next we have the sales lead, right? So the sales lead actually worked with me last year, in 2024. He started off as an appointment setter. So he would like book appointments for me. So like the most senior level job in sales. I moved him from that to then closer. He would take sales calls, and then from closer to coach, right? And he was completely burned out by the end of the year. And I told him, look, I'm going to get you back in sales in the new business. And he was super happy, right? And I brought him back to sales fully, and he generated hundreds of thousands of dollars to me because he's really talented. And then lastly, we have the operations lead. So this guy worked with me last year, and he was work with me as an operations analyst, and he was doing this alongside his full-time job. He was working after hours, evenings during the week, and then weekends, full days. Really good guy, and I just knew his work ethic was great. So I got him to quit his other job, join me full-time, and he managed operations for the UK Job Institute, right? And as you can see as well, when I started this business, it actually went from $0 to $9,000 MRR in 3 days. And then after that, 2 months later, we had 64,000 MRR. And we grew so fast because we had a lot of unfair advantages, right? It wasn't random. Mostly because I had killer teams. That's the number one thing about business. Like if your team is not great, you're not going to scale. The team was really great. And they were super independent, and they knew exactly how I operated and how fast I moved, and they matched that, right? And I knew like these guys deep down were really great. And last year, December, when I shut down my one-on-one coaching, I lost over $40,000, and I told them, look, I'm losing money, but I'm going to make sure you guys get paid, and we're going to launch a new product, and we're going to hit profitability in 6 months. And we hit profitability in like 4 weeks, right? It's absolutely insane just because of the team. I love those guys. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I had to make payroll from my own pocket. I was super stressed, and also I had taxes as well because I was in the UK. So it was like a lot of money I was losing. But deep down, I knew I'd make the money back. I thought I'd make the money back in 6 months, when I made it back in 2 months, right? That's the power of a great team. Now let's talk about how I've actually trained the team. So in March 2025, we actually hit 64K MRR. And this is 2 months after launching the UK Job Institute, the new product, right? And as soon as we hit that, we kind of stagnated. And we stagnated because of churn, right? We're losing more customers than we could acquire. So we focused naturally all of our energy on solving for churn so that we could stop people leaving the community, right? But as soon as we did that, we realized that, look, if we want to solve for churn, people want more personalized support, right? So I thought, okay, we needed more help with customer support. So let's hire another operations person, right? A delivery person. So naturally, we thought, okay, it's manual tasks. Let's hire someone in the Philippines, in operations VA. And we put out a job post on onlinejobs.ph, which is a website where you hire VAs. And I sold the company vision really hard. We got over like 150 or so applications, right? But this is where it gets interesting. It wasn't easy getting 150 applications, right? Because basically, I handed the entire process to my operations lead, right? And my whole thought process was that I don't want to be hiring for the junior level role, and I want the current operations lead to be hiring. And before that, I've done every other hire in my company, right? And when I told him, look, blank, you are going to be running hiring for this role, he said to me, Farun, I'm not sure if I can do this, right? Which I said, look, you're smart. You'll figure it out. Just design a rough plan. It needs to be first interview, then a task, and I'll review your plan before you execute, right? So he launched the ad, right? And we only got 30 applicants, which is nothing. Because I say for any role you should hire for, if you don't get at least 100 applicants, you're not going to make a good decision and you're going to make a desperate decision. So I told him that's not enough and we need more volume. I did tell him how, right? I said, I don't know, I want 150 applications minimum. I don't know if it's 100 or 150. But then he went full beast mode, right? And he blasted the ad out. When I asked him, how do you get 150 or so? He blasted the ad out on multiple Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, and he made multiple job descriptions on online jobs via the website, right? So we suddenly, after a few days, had 170 applications, right? So now we had all these applications. Now we're thinking, okay, now we need to screen all of these, right? So we went through all the applications. We asked them to submit a Loom video. And pro tip, if you want to see someone before you interview them, ask them for a Loom video. The bad ones just show within the video if they're not good, right? So we invited 80 people of those 170, like 90 or so didn't even make it past the Loom video round. And we invited them to group interviews, right? And we couldn't invite all 80 to one interview. So we broke the 80 down into two groups, right? So 2 rounds, 40 each, right? And we gave all of these people the same task and we gave it to them on a live call, because if you give people a take-home task, which a lot of you do, you are basically giving them the option to get help from friends or take longer, right? So if you do a task live on a call, you're much more likely to see everyone on a level playing field, right? So once we got them on these calls, these group interviews, we gave them the task and we assessed them on 3 skills: attention to detail, organizational skills, and then timeliness, like how, if they submit the task on the time, right? So from there, we shortlisted 3 from the first call. So we had 28 or so attend, and then 3 from the second call. Then we had the top 6. Then we got the top 6 to one final interview, right? And from those top 6, we gave them the same task. And the winner from that, we hired. And that person right now is my operations manager, operations lead, right? Who's an absolute gem. So she works right now 6 days a week. She manages everything within operations and is fully independent. And I've done probably less than 3 calls with her one-on-one, which is absolutely insane. And all that work paid off because she's fully independent. If we cheaped out or if we rushed through the hiring process, we would have gone someone in, they would have seen the workload and quit, right? So super important that you're super picky and you take your time with hiring, and you should, number one, get enough applicants in, right? So she also replaced my star player that I took 7 months, 8 months to train up, right? He's now moved to a startup in Dubai. Amazing guy, and I'm super grateful to him, and we're still in contact. So the biggest lesson, right? The biggest lesson actually is that if we hadn't gone through that painful level of screening, our operations wouldn't be this smooth today, right? And Elon Musk says this as well, a company is just a group of people, and a group of great people is a great company, right? The quality of your people is actually the quality of your company, right? So you need to understand that. That's why I obsess over hiring the best people and not compromising on standards, especially when it comes to hiring. So now if you want to know how I've actually trained my team so that they actually run the business without me, obviously checklists and SOPs help, and I've got all of them. But pretty much every business owner has some form of SOPs, or at least if you've done 20, 30K a month, right? But that's not what actually gets the best out of the people. The same person with the same list of tasks and the same list of SOPs that they follow will act completely different depending on their incentives. And I know this because I've had the same people without incentives and the same people with incentives. And with incentives, they do 3 times as better and they're 3 times more independent because they're incentivized. And let me actually tell you now a story of Dubai, right? The reason I've now learned the importance of incentives is because, so backstory, I moved from London to Dubai in June 2025 this year. And I moved straight to the city center, right across the tall building, the Burj Khalifa. And in my building, there's mostly entrepreneurs or crypto guys or just people with family wealth, right? And I met one guy there who actually was in a job. And I was very shocked. I was like, wait, how do you afford to live here? You work in consulting, right? And he said, oh yeah, I work in consulting, but I also have a business on the side. I was like, oh cool, what's the business? And how do you run it? Because you seem pretty busy with your work, right? And he told me, he's like, yeah, I have an operations manager. He does all the work and he reports to me once every 2 weeks or so. I was like, Jesus, once every 2 weeks? I got to report with my people every day. I'm going crazy. He's like, what incentives have you got? And I told him my incentive. He's like, oh, that's interesting because my guy only gets paid if he hits his KPIs or his targets, right? And I was like, that's so interesting. And then I dig deep and I made some Arab friends, and all of them have people that work for them and they have really strict incentives. And that's when everything clicked, right? And that's exactly what even Warren Buffett says, show me your incentives and I'll show you your outcomes. So that's pretty much it. And that's when everything clicked, right? And I had that conversation 2 weeks after that. I doubled my sales guys' commissions. And then since that day, it was July or so, I haven't chased my sales guys ever, maybe once or twice. Because now they're incentivized to do the work because they're getting amazing commissions, right? So I might be paying them more, but as a whole, I'm still making more money. So super important, you have great incentives with your team, and the same people will just really shock you. They're going to work hard for what you incentivize them for and what they want themselves. So now let's talk about the biggest mistakes I've actually made whilst running this business. So first mistake is solving the rod problem. So from March till about June, I spent all of my energy basically on solving for churn. So our churn was super high, and it was over 42% or so, right? And I spent 2 months trying to fix it. But the product naturally had high churn. because people either get a job or they finish all the modules and they leave or they go back home to India, right? So in the whole job search, the average churn is around 30-35%, right? So honestly, I wish I did my research, but I spent too long. We include personalized action plans. I hired another operations person, and it was just so much time and money that we lost. And instead of fighting that, obviously, because the goal was to increase revenue, right? I could have included or launched upsells or new offers, right? Like upsells or cross sells to increase revenue. So the big lesson actually here is like not every problem needs solving. Most problems are not even problems. And the best entrepreneurs actually spend a lot of time deeply thinking about the number one problem to solve, and then they go ham on it until it's solved. And I understood my problem in my business around July this year, and I paid $12,000 for it. And basically was that I'd lost passion for the niche, right? Helping people get jobs. And when I spoke to this coach and I was like, oh, my number one problem is actually churn, right? Churn is not going down. He's like, no, mate, like from the chat we've had, your number one problem is losing passion for the business. You need to be doing something you care about, because to a certain level, to get to 30, 40K a month, you need to work hard and stuff. After that, to make more money, you need to really care about what you're doing. So that's pretty much it. I was solving the wrong problem, and I've done that multiple times. Second biggest mistake I've made is hiring alone. So for the first 3 years of entrepreneurship or so, I did all the hiring myself because I read all of these books and watched all of these videos on, the CEO should be involved in every hiring. Yes, but doing it all by yourself is a huge waste of time. The best people I have right now, actually, my current marketing manager, she came through a recruiter, right? And I will pay over $10,000 for her, right? And it's been worth every cent. She's made way more money than that, right? And the other operations manager I have, she came through this website, and I paid $100 or so for posting the job. But what's very interesting is I had one full-time person who spent a whole week, 10 days going through applications, interviewing them. So hiring on your own, especially if you're at the 10, 20K mark, is too much. You need to either hire expert recruiters. So I have one really good American recruiter. She's amazing. So get expert recruiters in, or get other people in your team to support you with hiring. Super important. Don't make that mistake. I've made that, and now I never make that mistake. The third mistake I've made is not thinking deeply about incentives. So this one thing actually changed everything. I used to think I needed more management, right? I needed more meetings, more follow-ups, maybe say a certain thing to a team member to get them to work hard. But the truth is, I just needed better incentives. And once I started aligning incentives, aligning rewards with what people wanted. So I know my sales manager is very money motivated. I give him that, right? And he's 100% commission only as well. Like he doesn't make money if the business doesn't make money. And then my marketing manager, she wants to stay in Dubai because she was moving back to the UK. So I've now tied her performance to getting a work visa in Dubai, right? So it's a win-win. Third, my ops manager, she just wants to do operations. She says, I don't want to manage. I don't do anything. I just want to do repetitive operations. I find it fulfilling. I was like, cool. You hit your KPIs, you respond to everyone 24 hours, and you get the bonus and whatever you get, right? So that's what I've done. I've made sure that people are rewarded for what I want, right? So I align their incentives with my incentives, and it's a win-win. And the second I fixed incentives is the second I stopped chasing people. And now I can work only 5 hours a week on this business and launch my second business because I have the right incentives in place. And the right people with the right incentives will chase results, and you won't have to chase them. So that's pretty much it. That's the end of the video. That's how I built my 64K per month team. My business runs without me. Hope you found that valuable. And I actually have a free community. I'm helping people for free scale past 10K a month. If you want to join it, the link is down below. If not, subscribe and see you in the next video. Cheers.